See, first of all, before I even jump into the topic proper,
Yeah.
this is why it's so important to get everything copyrighted.
Yes.
So if something like this does happen, you have a legal recourse.
Yes. Yes. If you are
Okay.
legally protected, if your work is legally protected, then you have a legal recourse in case piracy occurs, which we're going to talk about piracy. Thank you, Kuda
Let's
Dude.
talk about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the big question is how do you combat it? And that is a question that software developers, creatives in general, have been asking for forever since it existed. I mean, piracy of creative works has been happening since, I mean, gosh, since people have been painting on canvas, and even before that, making music. You know, I mean, it goes back a very long time within human history. You know, ever since someone was creating something that other people liked, some asshole has been stealing it. You know, and it's good to see you, Seaboth. We're talking about combating piracy. So first off, to kind of give you guys that context, this is not something that is recent just to the video game industry or even modern history. It's been around forever.
Yeah.
So how do you combat it? Well, I mean, Kuda Dude mentions he doesn't like DRMs. I get it. I understand that.
Yeah.
DRM is a way to do it. Personally, I think if your type of DRM requires you to be constantly connected to the internet, especially if it's a single player experience, that's kind of a douchey thing to do. I don't generally like that. That's why there's certain games I don't like to play. Despite the fact that I am loving the Mass Effect trilogy, I have Legendary Edition. I hate that I have to connect to Origin servers to play it. But I understand legally why they're doing it. I don't agree, but I understand. So if you're developing a video game, some kind of DRM is an option, but I would urge you to explore a ethical way of doing it that doesn't require installing a kernel, that doesn't require constant internet connection. And I mean by kernel, I mean doesn't require the DRM software to be installed on the kernel level, because you really shouldn't have to mess with the operating system, that kind of thing. So be ethical if you do DRMs. Be ethical.
I think on a software level, okay, because they've been trying to tackle this from a hardware level as well, which that's the hardware level of trying to solve it. On a software level, I think keys, you have to have a key to unlock it.
Yes.
And the key once used is used.
Right.
It cannot be replicated.
Right. You would have to uninstall that version of the game and release the key in order to reuse the key and install it on another computer, like that.
But even that has its flaws, because a really good hacker can, take the key. So this is a difficult question.
It is. It is.
Do we have the technology to really to stop piracy? I don't think so. I think we're close. If we could utilize that technology that blockchain is built from, technically you could fight the piracy there, but this is such a new area that I can't say for sure that it would end up being effective long term.
I agree completely. Also, and I think Burke is mentioning this as well, instead of stopping the piracy, you could consider punishing it. Like, for example, game dev tycoon Serious Sam does this as well with the Scorpion boss. The game will detect if it's a pirated version, and then it punishes the pirate by making the game unbeatable. That's also possible that you could.
That's a good possibility.
Now, as Burke also mentions, as long as it's code, it can be attacked. And unfortunately, that's the truth.
That's the truth.
So you cannot make your game completely pirate proof, but you can use some fail safes and some ways to mitigate the damage. And I think one of the ways is to have your game innately punish anyone who cracks it.
Right.
That's one way.
But but whatever ways you choose, always copyright your stuff so you
Yes.
have a legal
Yes.
leg to stand on.
Yes. Um,
Always.
Now, what happened in Roxy's case, because Roxy was bringing the
Mhm.
Kuda Dude's case, because Kuda Dude was bringing this up.
Mhm.
Their game was translated into Russian against their will. Now, the problem is that the moment you leave your country of origin, your country of residence, where your game is copyrighted, the law doesn't protect you quite as much.
No.
You know, in some cases, not at all. Like, for example, if one of our games was stolen, you know, and was not copyrighted by someone, you know, in Eurasia, really, we would have no recourse except for international copyright law to show that it's our game. And then we could stop them on the distribution platform level. Like, for example, let's say we make game A, okay? And game A is stolen by somebody to the east of the pond. Well, we may not be able to stop them from stealing the game itself, but if we're the copyright holders, we can show it to Steam, to GOG, to itch.io, to everyone and say, hey, this is our game. Here's the copyrights. We legally own this. So now, could you please take it off the platform? And generally speaking, they will, because they don't want to touch that. They don't want to be known for holding stolen stuff.
Right.
So there's an element of social pressure and social engineering, social pressure.
Social pressure. Yeah. I really, at this point, it's still almost impossible to stop pirates, but you can, I'd say, protect yourself and claim ownership.
Yeah, I agree there as well.
You know, and even translated copies do fall under, to some extent, international copyright law. Even though the laws between, let's say, United States and France may be different, the international copyright law is basically, it's based on the same framework.
Yes. And you do have, as long as your game is copyrighted, you do have a level of recourse, legal recourse that you can follow. If your game is not copyrighted and your game is pirated, I am very sorry. You have our sympathies, but there is nothing you can do. Learn from it, unfortunately.
And as far as somebody grabbing your game and then infecting it with a virus and having it distribute like you know, with the virus, you can get those games deplatformed.
Yes. All you have to do is, if it's obviously you have to know about it, is send it to places like Trend Micro, Virus Total, and once they identify it as a virus, those distribution platforms will nuke it straight up. So if their internal virus detection doesn't catch it, and something like Virus Total or Trend Micro does, they're gone. It's gone. So the infected copy will be gone.
And make sure, this should go without saying, but your games should only be distributed on well-known, legitimate platforms.
Yes.
If you a person are purchasing a game on some unknown platform that's, you know, that's not Steam or something like that, right? It's on you. You're taking a huge risk.
Right. You yourself are taking a risk. Steam,
your game, you as a developer, as a creator, you should use well-known, recognizable platforms and make it known, hey, my games are only available on this, and this platform. If you find my game on any other platform, it's not my game.
Right, exactly. I'm also going to come out and say, even though the technology of torrents is not bad, it's actually a very good technology, it has been abused so badly that I personally would say stay away from torrents. They're not, again, the technology is fine. It's like blockchain. There's nothing wrong with the tech, but it's been abused massively over the years, and I would just stay away from any type of torrents. Places like Steam, GitHub, GOG, itch.io, or bundles like Heavy Bundle or Fanatical, Humble Bundle or Fanatical. They're fine. Use them, and they will stop piracy if they see it.
Or malicious software distribution.
Yeah.
They'll nuke it.
They'll nuke it. if someone translates your game without your permission, you should tell them don't, and you should treat it like it's piracy. But you should also have an open door policy with your customers and say, hey, if somebody wants to translate this, contact me. Our games that we make, if someone says, hey, I want to make a translated version of this game, then we'll negotiate, see if it's possible. And if it is, we'll work it out with them. If it's not possible, we'll say, I am sorry, we cannot legally allow you to translate this to Russian or whatever language.
Right.
But we can work with a localization expert to make it happen if there's a market for that language.
Yeah, I was going to say, this is localization.
Yeah.
And if you form a partnership with the person, i.e. contract, then you should be okay.
Yeah. To me, if a random person played Blue Ghost, for example, or Rosenhearts, and wanted to translate it to some language that we have no translation to, and I would say, well, I'm sorry, since it's a commercial game, I can't let you do it. However, I will get on it, and you get a free copy of the game in that language for bringing it up to me. Reward them.
Yeah.
Reward them.
Yeah.
You know, something like that. Someone mentioned earlier, if you're going to go the DRM route, make sure you don't lock out legitimate players. Yes, that's why I say be ethical. Don't do stuff that goes to the kernel level of the operating system. Don't do stuff that requires you to be on the internet in order to play. That's be as ethical as possible. Do not punish people who buy your game and give you money just because you're afraid someone else is not. Piracy is a huge issue, but if your game is getting pirated so much that your bottom line is suffering because you're getting more copies of your game pirated than your game is being bought legitimately, you got to examine and analyze, why is that happening? Is it because of the distribution platform? Is it because you didn't develop your game to be resilient to pirating? What happened? You know, I'm not saying it's your fault. It's never your fault when someone steals, but then you have to examine, why is this game getting pirated more than it's getting bought, and how can I avoid that in the future? Yeah. So it just goes to show that being a developer, especially a solo developer, you have to wear like about a gazillion hats. Yeah.
And make sure you have a lot of different bookmarks in your browser for for reading up on all these different things.
Yeah. It's one of those things, and this is why TL and I were so happy when this topic came up, is it's super important, but you don't think about it until it happens to you. And hopefully it never happens to any of you guys, you know, because that would hurt. That would hurt about as much as having it having it stolen pre-copyright.
Yeah.
Hurt.
Yeah.
Let us know in the comments what you think. Let us know your thoughts on anti-piracy measures. You know, let us know if you would do something differently. Let us know if you disagree with one of our solutions. You know, we'd like to know that. Yeah. All right, so if you like what you saw, lay that smack down the like button below, subscribe to our channel, consider supporting us on Patreon, connect with us over Facebook, Twitter, Discord, and we will see you in the next video.
See you next time.